Hello, 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 hello. How are you all doing today? It is the 5th Friday of the 5th month of the 5th dimension. Welcome to the 5th and final episode for this month. I know a lot of you guys got scared when I said that, when I started using the word final round, but this is not the last episode of the 5th dimension. It shall continue. We shall be brave. Dive deep and enter the 5th dimension. But for today's episode, we are talking specifically about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And when it comes to that specific game, there is one content creator that comes to mind that I was gonna say something snappy. Wait, whatever. He's amazing at this content when it comes to Breath of the Wild. There I go. I haven't even started drinking and I already muddied this up. But everyone, please welcome my guest for the 5th and final episode of this month, NintendoBlackCrisis. Or should I say from this Discord, because I saw you thought you were slick, Nintendo Zonai Crisis? Oh, man.
Yes. I had to switch it, man, because like it's just the slow hype towards my next project. I got that like huge Zonai video that I'm working on.
Oh,
and,
definitely.
Yeah. So I was like, hey, let's switch it. And like it's so fitting. It's too bad they don't see it, but like the icon's literally just like a swirl.
Man, when you gave me your new what do you call it? Your new logo, I'm like, bro, what? I just remember the letters in the flower. I remember it was that, but we got like the letters just falling apart, the flower wilting, and the malice from the back. I'm like, that's a dope logo. So for those,
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
oh no, it's fine. I was just gonna say yes.
Oh,
it's pretty cool.
Yo. For those who don't know who NintendoBlackCrisis is, I'm gonna give them the floor for a good minute to break it on down. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
Well, it's okay. So as HMK said, I am a channel that's mostly focused on Zelda videos. I started with Breath of the Wild, and I kind of kept Breath of the Wild for a couple months, but I've been kind of branching off to other games because I wasn't actually a huge Zelda fan before all the Breath of the Wild videos did very good. But like way before that, I was a Let's Player, and I did that for like 5 years. But obviously, Let's Playing, it's kind of hard to grow your channel. I got like, I think like 500 subscribers in all that time. And then like when Breath of the Wild videos started doing really good, that just kind of, the channel shifted. So, yes.
But man, oh man, I already, man, whew, you're so good at it, bro. Like, whoa. Like, bro. Man, NintendoBlackCrisis. So, I'm gonna go ahead and start pouring out my drinks, and this is an episode. And just so you know, guys, yes, I did shave. And at the end of the stream, a bunch of huge announcements of something I've been working on for the past month or more so. We shall reveal, including the guest of next week's episode. And did you check out all the new art and stuff that I got done? It was really nice. So, as I'm pouring out these drinks. So I'm just gonna go ahead and Crisis or NBC. Wait.
You could just say Will, honestly. That's
Will?
like
all right. No,
so,
I didn't know if I should go ahead and just call you.
Should I call you HMK or what?
Yeah, either HMK or Geo.
Okay.
All right. So Will, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know, man. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Ah! I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
Oh man, now I'm gonna have to clean that up. Oh boy. Only here on the HMK.
Did you spill your drink?
I did. It fizzed up so much that I spilt it.
Oh, the memes have already begun.
Right, it's already. Yo, F in the chat. All right. So,
yeah, just get some big Fs in there.
Right. I'm not gonna. We're still doing it live. Do I have anything that can like soak this up really quick? But anyways, here's something to talk about when it comes to Breath of the Wild. All right, because of course I know, like, and don't be afraid. Oh man, that's a lot. Don't be afraid. We are gonna probably bring up Breath of the Wild 2. I mean, we kind of have to. All right, I was done with this.
Why would we bring Breath of the Wild? Why would we bring that game up?
Yeah,
I don't think anyone really cares about it.
I don't know. Why would we bring that up? All right, I already. This pants is already like about to hit the wash, so it doesn't matter. So with Breath of the Wild 1, because we're gonna bring up 2, but with Breath of the Wild 1, man, where do I even begin with a game like that? Because this is on the 5th dimension. We're gonna go deep into the characters, the lore, and of course the future of that game. But that game is so big, and you know, I've seen posts and like things on the internet that say that the game is unnecessarily big. Now, I don't know if you agree with that, but what do you think about a statement like that?
Well, you know, this is gonna sound awful because like I made a video back then, and I still kind of go by this. I still don't really see Breath of the Wild as like a masterpiece because I know it's spicy take. That video has like a lot of dislikes, but I gave a lot of reasoning, like the very repetitive enemies, the how the shrines get very like mundane, and the divine beasts. The thing about that game is it's still a fantastic game. I do love it, but there are a bunch of very glaring flaws in it that, you know, make me, it's just barely, you know, off from being a masterpiece in my opinion. And one of the reasons I said that was because the game does throw a lot of questions at you, but like they don't really bother to give you answers even when you look into it. But honestly, since the release of Breath of the Wild 2 has been announced, if they do a really good job in that game of kind of like, I guess, giving us answers and, you know, setting up what the first game sort of, you know, the world building and stuff, if they help kind of deliver more on that, I might actually switch what I think of the first game. So that's kind of where I stand. Like, for example, the Divine Beasts, I think the idea of a Divine Beast dungeon is really cool. The problem is once you extend it to like 4, it's like the same thing being reused and recycled. So, yeah, that's my spicy take.
Spicy take. Mm-hmm. Now, I definitely understand what people are saying about, like, especially with your takes on Breath of the Wild. Certain things get mundane and stuff, but you know, I feel it's one of those. It definitely is like half and half. One of those situations where beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and then another take is like, look, I understand it's not perfect. I think Breath of the Wild is. Breath of the Wild to me is such a masterpiece, but of course, like, you know, it's I wouldn't say it's so different because I feel like everyone's saying, oh, but it's not really a Zelda game. It is. And it just has so much flavor that differs from what we've known in the past when it comes to Zelda games that it puts off a lot of people, and that's fine. But the thing is, you know, I've played a lot of open world games in my day, and this with Breath of the Wild, you don't call it an open world game, you call it an open air game, right? And I really don't think I've ever played, and I know the chat and the comments are gonna be like, have you played this? Whatever. All right, I don't think I've ever played an open world game that's ever clicked with me so hard that in the way that Breath of the Wild did. You know, it rewarded exploration. The physics were so good. Okay, sure, the story suffered for, you know, how grand the scope was for that game, and the fact that, you know, we don't have loading times when you stay in the overworld is impressive. And like, I feel it's one of those things that Nintendo usually does. If they don't innovate, they take something that's already kind of established and makes it better. And for the world, the giantness of Breath of the Wild, I felt that really accomplished it, right? Say what you will about the shrine, say what you will about the dungeons, say, like, dungeons, when I say dungeons, I mean Divine Beasts. Say what you will about it all offers something new, and that's what they were really aiming to challenge the conventions known with Zelda, because, you know, they tried to do that with Skyward Sword, people didn't like that, and then they're like, okay, let's give it the old 1-2 try again. And I feel they really got something good down with Breath of the Wild. Now, I understand when people say that, oh, like, these certain flavors, these certain things didn't mesh well, in my opinion, or to those people specifically, and my answer to that is that for Breath of the Wild 2, the final hope, or, well, maybe it could be a trilogy, I don't know, but if we were to take everything that's great about Breath of the Wild, and we take everything that's great about past Zelda games such as Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, if we take all those great aspects and just shove them into what was great about Breath of the Wild for Breath of the Wild 2, boy, that game will be it. That game will be it.
It definitely will, because I see people who say, oh, well, you know, it's a very generic answer to be like, oh, I want them to bring back the good stuff of Breath of the Wild, like the open world, but bring also the traditional dungeons. But like, it's so true that if you mash those together, it can be a really good game. And what Breath of the Wild tells me is it just showed me the potential it had for the series and stuff. And just that thought is really exciting. And what else is there? Another thing, actually, I should mention regarding like all the overworlds and how Nintendo kind of, I guess, evolved it and made it a lot better. I haven't actually played a ton. I love open worlds, but like the most open world I got before Breath of the Wild was like Minecraft. So
I ain't gonna knock it. What I mean, like, a lot of people give Minecraft a bad rap, but I mean, like, bro, that game's impressive. You can make a Game Boy in that game, like.
Oh, I've seen those. Yeah, freaking Seth Blaine.
Oh yeah.
Hey guys, we made a fully functional calculator.
Oh yeah. Okay, calculator. Like, wait, scientific calculator or regular calculator?
I don't know. It was probably regular, but to be fair, like that would still take a lot of redstone.
It would take, but to me it was the Game Boy like that. I'm like, I saw that and I'm like, how's this even possible? What?
Yeah.
Like, what? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know, it was crazy. But yeah, so that's one of the reasons like I'm really excited for the sequel. And it's like, oh well, if you have all these negative thoughts about the first game, why were you this excited about the sequel? And like I said, it's the potential, because the first one's still a fantastic game. So I still can't wait.
Oh man, 2020 is looking grim, my dudes. 2020 is looking grim, but I will hold out to the last breath, to the last day, to the last hour, to the last minute, to the last second. We go hold out. But what's one thing that I like to do a lot when it comes to the Fifth Dimension? So we talked about the aspects of the game, right? And of course it's gonna be brought up again. But let's go down a little lane when it comes to the lore, the story of Breath of the Wild, and how it could relate to the past and the future of Zelda games. Now, first and foremost, Breath of the Wild, when people talk about the story, like they're saying the story is bad, I heavily disagree. The story is not bad. I actually like the story a lot for Breath of the Wild. It's the presentation of the story that's bad. Yes. And I will agree with that. I will wholeheartedly. But the story itself was actually, like, this is Zelda. When you look at it, the story itself, it's not that bad. And a part of the Breath of the Wild experience is not having all the answers given to you. You go out of your way, you explore, you find all the journal entries, you talk to the NPCs, you find all the memories. But for me, it definitely was the presentation that wasn't very good, because there was a huge emphasis on the past, and we only obviously see that through the memories. And that's why I would still love to see a game play out during the events of the Great Calamity. Like, I was thinking, a game called, like, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Before the Calamity or something. I don't know. Right.
But even then, it's like... Well, actually, question: what do you want? Would you, if you were given the choice, would you like the second Breath of the Wild game to be a prequel or a sequel?
Oh, definitely a sequel, because, like, I'm all for, like, learning what happened then, but this is the first, like, you don't understand. When I saw that trailer for Breath of the Wild 2, I got so titillated at the notion that this, for sure, we've had sequels for Legend of Zelda games before, but this is the first time ever that we had such a direct sequel in the massive output, that we're literally going back to the same Hyrule with the same characters after the events of a game. And what the events of a game of Breath of the Wild, where, like, the game is grim, the game is hella dark, right? Like, and we left off with such sure, we won, but at what cost type shit. Right, we have to rebuild Hyrule. The royal family is all but decimated, save for Zelda. Right, the champions are dead. Where can we go from now? So that's it. Kind of gave me a sour taste in my mouth, beating Breath of the Wild and seeing the original ending like that. Right, and then I'm like, geez, man, I would love for this to continue. But me knowing Zelda as a huge Zelda fan, I'm like, they're never going to do, like, a direct sequel like that. And if they do, it's probably going to be spun off and go to a different realm, just like Majora's Mask, Triforce Heroes, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks. It's going to be like one of those deals, right? And then when they're like, oh, we're returning to the same world of Breath of the Wild, I'm like, let's go! So, sequel all the way. Like, I do not give it a second thought. Let's go. Let's go forward. And what a way to go forward with incorporating the one thing that was missing from Breath of the Wild, Ganondorf.
Yeah, honestly, I do agree. I would prefer the sequel over, a prequel, also because we have established at least, what happened sort of 10,000 years ago. And just because it's a sequel doesn't mean we can't get more lore that explains what happened a long time ago. Because there's a lot of things, you really have to question if some of the information is, like, not in what we are given. If there's a bit more to the story 10,000 years ago, and obviously the Z word. Oh, I don't know if I want to say it.
The Zonai.
No, Zelda. What are you talking about, dude? Who's a Zonai? I meant Zelda.
What's a guys? What's a Zonai? What is a Zonai?
Actually, I don't know if you know this, but the word Zonai actually comes. So in the translations, it's actually zone now. So it's like ZONAW and AU, and they changed it to Zonai just because I think it's easier to pronounce for.
It's so funny that you say that because like they never pronounced Zonai once in the game. So like for them
they only there's only one mention of the Zonai.
Right.
There's only one mention, and that's Zonai Ruins. There's not a single other mention of them. The armor refers to them as like a warlike tribe. The translations for the armor itself, for localization, it's barbarian gear, but they actually refer to it in the Japanese version as the savage tribe. Yeah, so anyways, back to the whole Zona. They got that name from the word Nazo, and that's an anagram for... Zona is an anagram for Nazo, and Nazo means mystery. So it's the mystery or mysterious tribe. So in a way, like, we don't actually have a name for this tribe because they're being described as mysterious.
Like, we don't know. That's the only way to describe them. Like that's such a really interesting way for Nintendo to do something that's like, we don't know. That's a way for them to describe something of the unknown. And when you look at all those ruins and stuff like that, it definitely does not harken anything we've seen in not in Breath of the Wild, but in the Zelda series before. It's like, okay, who are these people? Where do they come from? Why are they here? Why are they already in ruins? I don't remember them from any other Zelda game. But then again, people could say like, oh, because Breath of the Wild came at the... No, I'm not. Hey Google was all like, oh, here's Zonai, and like here's what I got from the web. I'm like, no, bad.
Was that Cortana?
No, that was Google. That was Hey Google.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh. So we don't really know anything about them, and then people can obviously say like, oh, because Breath of the Wild, there's no way for them to like preemptively establish them before Breath of the Wild if they decide to do something about it in Breath of the Wild. But you want to know something interesting about the quote-unquote Zonai that I've noticed, and I made a video about it like a couple of months ago, that because Breath of the Wild, the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer obviously shows like Zonai-like runes and glyphs all over the walls or whatever. So it makes us believe, oh, maybe Zonai is like underground. Maybe that would be what the dungeons are. We don't know because they kind of correlate with the runes that we've seen in Breath of the Wild. But that's Breath of the Wild 2's first trailer or teaser. In the first teaser for Breath of the Wild 1 back in the days of Zelda Wii U, we saw Zonai runes. Yeah. And I'm like, so you're telling me that these ruins, Nintendo, the madmen like they are, they're gonna shift these ruins in both of the first teasers of both of these games? Like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? But at the same time, they could be doing nothing. So
yeah, that's totally something where like a lot of people will miss it. The fact that we see specifically a dragon and an owl statue. There's no boar. In fact, it's interesting because in all of Breath of the Wild, the only boars that appear are in Faron Woods, and a lot of them are like half buried. It's as if they've been wiped from history or forgotten. Oh yeah, and we know that the boar. Why. Yeah, exactly. We know that the boar is associated with Ganon, and I don't know if you saw this, but I did tweet like a long time ago how there's that strange formation northeast of Sargon Bridge where it shows the boar surrounded by 6 pillars.
Yeah, like the boar surrounded by the 6 sages.
Yes.
Man,
So
you know,
that
I love Nintendo sliding and things like that because they know that people are gonna pick up on it. But like, it's funny because like it doesn't mean something, or is it just an Easter egg? I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
It's not a. I feel like it has to mean something.
Right?
Okay. This is. I'll do you one better. There's a really strange mystery in Typhlo, and instead of having a boar surrounded by 6 pillars, we have one Luminosaur surrounded by 6 dragon heads.
Ooh.
I still have no idea what that means. It could be a hint to the shrine puzzle because it's all in the dark.
Yeah.
Obviously, Luminous Stones are said to be, their glow is from the souls of the dead. And we do have occasions where Luminous is paired with Zonai architecture. There's the Palmore Ruins with
the Dragon Eyes
monument. Yes, the Dragon Eyes. But there's also the Palmore Ruins, which, while we don't know if that Mirror of Twilight shape, that
yeah, oh
it's
yeah,
not the
yeah,
Mirror of Twilight. We don't know if it was made by the Zonai, but all around it are Zonai pillars, so it's possible that's made by Zonai. And I don't know if you ever, put 2 and 2 together here, but the text is made from Luminous Stone.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
because
of
it
course,
lights up at
that's
night.
the only way it can light up.
Yeah.
And then I've played around with that with not really a theory, but like speculation, because like Fifth Dimension, right? I played around with like a notion of that in my head, where like of course Breath of the Wild takes place so long after any other Zelda game, and then we are gonna for those who are wondering, we're gonna talk about the timeline at one point in this podcast, but like when it comes to the Zonai, obviously they deal with Luminous Stones, and then we know that the Luminous Stones obviously have a connection to the spirits and spirit energy, not only because of their tech of their description, but of course of the color. And we all know that color attributes to spirit or spirit energy, as we've seen in Breath of the Wild and Twilight Princess. Now, of course, me and Zeltic put out a video today talking about the similarities and the possible connection between new Twilight magic, not the fused shadow magic, but new Twilight magic that could have possibly been supplied by the spirits of light while they're in the Twilight realm in order for them to do stuff like build buildings or whatever, right? So when you consider the fact that Twilight magic has the same greenish bluish glow as spirits and spirit magic that we've seen in both Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild, and that the Zonai seem to be messing around with that stuff, and that there's Zonai ruins around that, but it's definitely not the Mirror of Twilight, because how can it be the Mirror of Twilight? The Mirror of Twilight was destroyed utterly and completely, right? But the Mirror of Twilight, as we all know, was left behind by the light spirits, the golden goddesses, or whatever. The Zonai deals with a lot of spirit magic, possibly, spirit magic that could be derived and connected to Twilight magic. What if the Zonai was trying to recreate something that can mirror, the Mirror of Twilight's abilities? And that's why it's all there. And I'm like, okay.
Definitely something to think about. Also, let's not forget what appears to be Luminous Stone, and there's a huge abundance of them underground in the caverns. And also, does that abundance relate to their sudden disappearance? Like all of them just, I don't know. It seems kind of like a bizarre thought, but they just all disappear, and somehow that's connected to the stones, which contain the souls of the dead.
Right. I want to. All right, here's another big brain tangent. Only here at the Fifth Dimension. Like, see, I love having guests like Will here on the stream, because like what he says pokes my brain. When my brain is poked, I come up with stuff. So check it, Will, check it. All right.
Yeah, that looks pretty poked.
All right.
Hold on. I'm poking the screen. Okay, I'm poking your brain. There you go.
So the Twilight, obviously, they are derived from the tribe that was known as the Dark Interlopers, and they did a really bad boo-boo in trying to establish dominion over the sacred realm, and the light spirits had to be dispatched by the golden goddesses in order to banish them. Now, of course, they dealt with fused shadow, but from them going from the interlopes to the Twilight, they gained a new form of magic. The green magic, like I said, could be attributed and connected to spirit magic, and the Luminous Stones being, connected to that spirit magic. They could be either one the same or heavily connected. And now, like I said before with my previous thought, if the Zonai really were trying to mess around with A, spirit magic, or 2, reproducing Twilight magic, or 3, reproducing something that could do the same thing the Mirror of Twilight could do, I'm pretty sure all three of those aspects is not something that one, the royal family or the golden goddesses or the light spirits will want people messing around with. And like you said, hey, they disappeared, but what if they didn't really disappear? What if they were ran, and that's why we see all the shit underground, right? What if they were run into the depths of the earth? You don't have any place here on the overworld. You don't have any place here in the sunlight, in the light. You're trying to bring back the twilight. You're trying to mess around with twilight energy. You're trying to mess around with energy from the dead. That's a no-no. That's a taboo. What if they were sent into the underground aspects? There they would have all, they could cultivate and make all the, you know, luminous stones they needed. They could, you know, graph all the things they need. That's why we only see ruins on the top, but all of the truth to the mystery is in the bottom. And possibly that could connect onto why Ganondorf's corpse is also on the bottom, because by the time, you know, I would say the Zonai tribe finally, you know, kicked the bucket, and then the royal family really needed to needed some place to put Ganondorf's body. Hey, wow, yo, there's this whole underground system to that place. There's this whole underground system made by the people that we kicked down here, you know, so maybe we should use it. No one's gonna know if we use the stuff that they came up with. And look, all of the source to the power for the magic that we need to seal this body is down here. The luminous stones are all here, right? So let's seal Ganondorf here. What could go wrong? What if that was the tangent?
Yeah, a very big tangent.
I'm sorry,
so,
my mind.
It's fine. That's fine.
Like,
I do also. I do have a feeling that a lot of the game would be focused on like the underground portion. Like you said, it's a perfect place for the Zonai to have eventually migrated to, because it would be an easy way to explain how they just suddenly disappeared. So my hope is that there's a lot of underground exploration, and imagine if, you know, they already have the overworld. They can obviously make a bunch of adjustments to that, but then take that time used to make the overworld and then just kind of like add up another layer on the bottom. It'd be a ton of work, but like that would be pretty crazy. Just having, long story short, I want a lot of underground civilization like places to explore.
Oh, I would love that. Nah, man, go off on that. I want that so much because like maybe if they limited the aspects on where you can go underground from the overworld, it won't be as big as the overworld that we saw in Breath of the Wild 1. But if Breath of the Wild 2 had as much or almost as much map as the surface for the underground, bro, let's go. Come on. Like, give it to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when it deals with the Zonai and stuff, because I know I don't want to talk too much about the Zonai, because I know that you deal a lot with the Zonai, and I know that you have something super big and super spicy up in the works.
I don't want you to
spoil anything.
I got some interesting things. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, do I want to come on here? Like, how much do I want to talk about the Zonai? Because like, it's a perfect topic for me to discuss. It's like a perfect topic for me to discuss because I already did all the research and stuff. Right. But obviously, you know, there's a question of spoilers. I guess one thing I could quickly mention is, have you ever thought that the Lome Labyrinths weren't the Zonai constructions? They had no involvement in it.
That's weird, because I mean, that obviously you find the armor there, right? So
yes, but that's just the armor,
right? And it's so far. You know what I mean?
Yes, there's the one that's very far away. I don't know how much else I want to say, but they do have the dragons at the entrance, but it's a different style.
Right.
And
man, well, what if it's like the Sheikah and Yiga all over again?
Let me ask you this: why in the Labyrinths? First of all, does it look a lot less aged than the other Zonai stuff? And also, why would a tribe who is described as savages have electrical lighting in their labyrinth?
Maybe they're on the wrong side of history. Maybe someone decided to, you know, ooh, that's dark. Ooh, I think if I'm picking up what you're putting down, that's dark. Maybe they're on the wrong side of history, and maybe a certain tribe that were known to build certain things didn't actually build it themselves. Because I mean,
you ever noticed
shrines are in the labyrinths, bro?
You ever noticed how manufactured the labyrinths look? Very blocky, smooth walls, floors. It's almost as if we've seen that kind of design somewhere else,
Ooh.
like in the shrines.
Ooh, I'm all for. Oh man, I'm all for that. Oh god, I love that kind of lore. Like that kind of lore that shows that, you know, at the end of the day, a certain tribe was wronged because something or someone like wronged them in a way that they either took something or like wrote them out of history or give them a bad rap in history. And that would explain why they were to be like, you know, oh no, yeah, the Zonai, nah, they didn't do anything. They're savage. We definitely did this. Ooh.
My point is that the Zonai are responsible. Like, we know it's obvious that the Zonai are responsible for stuff like the boars, owls, and dragons, and they have what I consider to be the true Zonai swirl. There are some swirls in the labyrinths, but they are different. The true Zonai swirl has a little tick at the end.
Like
the ones on the labyrinths, they don't. They just have a normal spiral. And I don't know. I think there's something else I wanted to mention, but I can't even remember it.
Ooh.
Basically, what I'm suggesting is that the Zonai had zero involvement in the labyrinths, because for the other ruins, which have
okay, now I see what you're saying, because I thought you were like going around the route that they had what they were made stolen from them.
Oh no. But there are some cases, their actual Zonai ruins were repurposed for the sake of trials. For example, if they disappeared sometime, it's possible they disappeared long before the Sheikah built the shrines. And then what they did... Okay, the weird thing is, in Typhlo ruins, all the bird torches, which we can assume are most likely built by the Zonai, they all point in a path for the sake of the trial, for the shrine. But why would they do that if the shrines didn't already, you know, they didn't exist at that time? So the idea is the Sheikah went to those ruins and then they repurposed it for the sake of the trial. But so that's the difference between the true Zonai ruins and the labyrinths.
Right.
Because the labyrinths, the structure itself is the shrine puzzle.
Exactly, yeah, because when you get to the shrine, they just give you the orb. So... Yep. So what you're saying is that, okay, so you said that they had no involvement with the labyrinths, and like we have true ruins and we have ruins that may have taken inspiration from them but not built by them. I can rock with that. I can rock with that. You know,
well, because we have a tribe that's technologically advanced, the Sheikah.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. So, but I want to when we say the Sheikah and the ancient technology, right? They can only be so ancient to the terms of Breath of the Wild and not really to, you know, the overall standing lore of the Zelda timeline and stuff. Because in my opinion, I think the technology found in Skyward Sword is way more robust than the technology we see in Breath of the Wild. And that's like eons before the Sheikah decides to, you know, mess around with that type of stuff, I would guess. You know? So, what I'm trying to say is that I feel there are tribes, you know, including the Zonai, that may have built or been responsible for either precursor technology or technology that was even greater but predated that of ancient technology that we've seen in Breath of the Wild that were built by the Sheikah. And I feel that possibly... You know, I'm a huge fan and a huge believer in the whole notion of history repeating itself, right? And as we've all seen in Breath of the Wild, the reason why the Sheikah split into two tribes and were subjugated is because they built they built all the awesome technology and they defeated Calamity Ganon and everything was okay. But then the people who didn't understand the gifts they were given by the Sheikah, they got scared and was like, oh man, what if they come for us? What if they overthrow Hyrule? Man, yo, King, I don't know about this tribe. I don't know about this technology. And then, you know, the whole shebang happened, and then the Yiga tribe came into being. And I want to think that possibly that happened as well with the Zonai, if also I'm playing off that whole notion I said before about, you know, the Zonai messing around with technology and magic that they shouldn't have, and haha, that would be the same thing that we've seen with the interlopers in Twilight Princess. So maybe the Zonai were responsible for building certain things, technology, or magical items that, you know, just people didn't really rock with, and they were just so scared of that they had to, you know, either take away the items, take away the magic, take away the technology, or you don't want to be taken away. Okay, live underground. That's your choice. And I feel that, man, we can talk forever when it comes to the Zonai. Holy shit. It's crazy. But, yeah, so, that I guess that's my take when it comes to the Zonai tribe and the possibilities of that. But, like I said, we can talk about that forever. I don't want to stay too much on one subject. But, of course, this is a Breath of the Wild stream. Here's something cool I want to ask you. When, okay, you can't say the Zonai. You probably might have said the Zonai, but you can't say the Zonai for this one. When it comes to Breath of the Wild, what is your favorite aspect of lore specifically for that game, or a lore connection that connects Breath of the Wild to a previous game?
That's a good question. I don't know. I gotta think. It's like, oh, Zonai, no. I guess one thing that I've really been really rocking recently was the concept of life force.
Okay.
Life force, it's described as like a sacred power which delves into which is within all living things.
Yeah, force. Yeah.
And yeah, force.
Yeah.
And I have wanted to do a video where how I connect that concept to like the whole series, because there's a lot of interesting, I guess, quotes and stuff. I did a video a long time ago with Zeltic where we mentioned if Ganondorf's life force was the source of ancient energy.
Yeah, the source of ancient energy. Yeah, that one.
And even Rivali mentions in his journal how you don't just need skill to pilot a divine beast. They say your soul must contain an incredible sacred power.
Right.
And okay, question: why do the divine beasts even need champions? They have guardians, which are autonomous weapons.
Right. Because I really don't think that divine beasts are completely autonomous. That's why, right? Which is weird. You say, it's weird because guardians are autonomous, but why not the divine beasts? I think. Well, there you go. There's my biggest answer. They're way too powerful to be autonomous, right?
Yes. So, and what I was thinking is, what if the champion is required to pilot it because their life force is needed to power it?
Because their spirit is still required to power it. Yeah, because their spirit was still trapped after they were killed by the blight cannons and stuff. And then it's funny because that thought could spin off incredibly well to the ending of Breath of the Wild, for the original Breath of the Wild, where Zelda's like, oh, Varuta stopped working. Let's go find out why. And then they find out that all the divine beasts stopped working because, wow, okay, all right, yeah.
Also, another really
cool
thing is the so for the Japanese version, the light force of Minish Cap, the force gems of Four Swords Adventures, and life force of life force of Phantom Hourglass, they all are referred to as the exact same thing, and they're all referred to as force.
Yep.
So it's implying that all of them are connected. And in Minish Cap, the one who held the most light force was Zelda.
Yep. She had the true force.
In Phantom Hourglass, she Tetra was targeted by Bellum, and Osha says, "Oh, she must have contained an incredible amount of life force."
Yep.
So it's something that really, connects everything, and it kind of feels like life force would be the source of a lot of the divine power.
Yo, check it. You ready? Force, of course, like the more force you have, the more powerful your force of your inner being and stuff, and the more stuff you're able to do. Skyward Sword, that's why Zelda was able to be a lock on Demise for so long, because of her force.
I was also trying to, recently I've been trying to come up with, a sort of theory to explain the Triforce, and, obviously, Triforce, force, it's connected,
Sure.
But I was thinking, so the Golden Goddesses descend on the world to create, use their power to create Hyrule, and they leave the world, and I'm thinking perhaps they had to have a part of their power stay there, so everything they did would stay as it is.
Right,
and that's what made
their force
yes.
governs the world.
Yes,
and it's
that's
literally their essence. That's why it's called the Triforce, because it's made of the three forces of. Ooh, yeah.
So it's a byproduct. It's because they left that world. That's why the Triforce was born. And I'm thinking, okay, so what about Goddess Hylia? Because I've talked before about the Tetraforce. Like, I don't think it actually exists, but I feel like it's a very symbolic. It exists in a symbolic way because, like, you can only have the shape of the Tetraforce exist when all three pieces are together. And, like, Hylia is the one who's supposed to govern the Triforce. But the thing that's interesting is Hylia never really left the world like the Golden Goddesses. If she did, perhaps we would get another piece, byproduct. Instead, she decided to reincarnate herself as Zelda. So all that force went into the reincarnation of Goddess Hylia, and that's why Zelda has the most
right there you go
life force.
And it's like, oh, why does the goddess?
But then it's like, why doesn't she just destroy Demise? Because, like, yeah, the Golden Goddesses are like the most powerful beings, period. And it's like, because Hylia technically is a lesser being.
Yeah, she's a guardian deity, not a golden goddess.
So she has sacred power to seal the evil, but she can't destroy it. So that's like a whole idea that I've wanted to further go into and make a huge like I've noticed for some reason I've been doing like a lot of massive projects.
Right. Oh, hey, it works.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, that's something I definitely want to work on because I just think a video connecting all the life force stuff would be great.
Oh, definitely.
And no, the person in the comments, they aren't called midichlorians. Get that out of here.
Midichlorians is like, well, what are midichlorians? Midichlorians is how we are able to speak with the Force. Oh man, I'm so glad they don't actually bring those up anymore. Anyways, but when it comes to other overarching aspects, when it comes to the lore and characters of Breath of the Wild going forward and back from, when it comes to the entire Zelda series and whatnot, let's talk about one thing I felt we were really wronged in. Now, for those who haven't read the Masterworks, aka Creating a Champion, the book, I suggest that you definitely read it because, and I'm still big mad about it. Instead of a Rito champion, we were supposed to get a Kokiri champion. But no, we got a Rito champion, which is all muddied up because the Zora still exists in Breath of the Wild. And we got Koroks instead of Kokiri, but we were supposed to get a Kokiri champion that uses a whip instead of ravioli, roly-poly-oly. Like, how do you feel about that? I feel burned by that.
Can I say I'm so happy that you referred to him as ravioli? That's like, I don't know. I made a video a super long time ago, like calling him ravioli. Yeah. And for a while, I'm like, oh wait, was I the first person on YouTube to like make that joke? But I think I sound like a video long, like months before that, where they made that joke. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. It's like I thought I made something. I thought I invented something. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you can explain how the Rito and Zora can exist because, like, for Wind Waker, for Wind Waker, an interesting quote is how they mentioned that it's a scale gifted to them by Velu, which grows their wings.
Right.
So it's like because of the flooding, they forced an evolution. So it's possible that at that point the Rito just kind of split into different, I guess, types.
Factions and types. Yep.
Yeah, and one question is like, oh, why it's flooding? Why do they evolve when it's freaking like there's water everywhere?
Exactly.
It's possible the Zora are a freshwater species. Possibly. There is one case where that isn't true because Majora's Mask has the Great Bay Sea.
Yep. Hold that thought for a second. TARawson Rex, a dead Kokiri champion. Oh boy, dead kids in Zelda. I don't want to hear it. We had a dead kid in Wind Waker. What?
Oh gosh.
Like, what do you mean? Ganondorf personally murked that kid. All right, so I don't want to hear it. It could have happened. All right, continue.
Triggered. I can't remember. We were talking about the Rito and the Zora. Right. Another possibility is that, and I kind of like this idea. The reason they forced the Zora to evolve, the Zora to evolve to the Rito, was because voice crack because they wanted to keep the washed away kingdom hidden.
No, oh yeah, a secret, because if you let the Zora running around, it would not. And then that's one of the main reasons I also think so. Another reason why I think they forced the evolution is that it wasn't safe for the Zora anymore, because Ganondorf, he was out and about and he had monsters all over the sea, and I'm pretty sure those monsters were looking under the sea for the sunken Hyrule. So one, in order to keep it a secret; two, to keep the Zora safe, because I mean, like, if they were to stay in the water, they would die. They would legit get murked by all the monsters there.
I made a half serious, half joke, thought in one of my videos, and I think it's leaning more towards serious, because like it might sound ridiculous. I was thinking, oh, maybe like some Zora evolved, the other ones who didn't, they eventually like turned into the fishmen. Now the fishmen are tiny, right. But one interesting detail that I noticed was the fact that in their description for their trophy, it mentions that for several, I think, like years, they've complained about having stiff necks. But like, why would you complain about having a stiff neck? Implies that at one time you were able to move it around more freely,
right? So
like that was a little kind of detail, and I thought it was worth mentioning in my video. And I'm not totally sure. It's not like, oh right. Yeah, they're definitely the fishmen, but like it's just an interesting thought,
right? And now when we're segueing off of that, of course, the Rito as we know them and as we've seen them in Wind Waker, obviously differ a bunch in design when it comes to the Rito and Breath of the Wild, but they're the Rito still one and the same, whatever. If we're gonna go by the notion that the Rito, in all aspects, both in Wind Waker and in Breath of the Wild, had to evolve from Zora, and then from what we see in the Wind Waker, they were a forced evolution for reasons listed. What would you think would possibly force or trigger the evolution needed from the Zora to become the Rito tribe as we see in Breath of the Wild? And before anyone says like, oh, it could be a completely different Rito, that's true, but at the same time, the Rito village is over a lake, is over a body of water. That could have been like, that could have been where the Zora were when there's still Zora in that area, right? So what do you think would have, just random thought, what would you think of would have then forced that type of evolution or proc it or whatever?
So something that would force it, and we're not considering the scales,
right? Yeah.
Is that? I don't know.
Right, because I mean, if they weren't really the Rito, like one of the same that came from the Zora at one point, in the Wind Waker, then like, why would Nintendo go out of their way to name these guys the Rito? Like, yeah, they look different from Rito. Like Rito, like the way I put it, the Rito in the Wind Waker look like humans with bird features, while the Rito in Breath of the Wild look like birds with human features, right? And like why would you go out of your way to name them Rito if they weren't connected in that aspect? Like just
I don't know. It might just be a retcon of information,
right? It could be.
And like I said before, it doesn't even necessarily have to be like a forced evolution. It might just be the Rito from Wind Waker are what happens when you quickly force it with like an item, and
right,
the
so
ones
they didn't have the time.
It's more of a natural,
right? Exactly, didn't have time to have a more natural. Okay, I see that.
Yeah.
So it could, like, since Breath of the Wild. Okay, I see that. Since Breath of the Wild took place so long after any previous Zelda game, like eons, 10,000 years plus. Maybe they had enough time. Maybe a faction of Zora decided to go off and do their own thing in another portion of Hyrule, and then they had enough time to naturally evolve, and then that was the product. All right, I get that. Yeah, I see that.
Well, so there's a certain settlement in Wind Waker. It's called Great Fish Isle, and originally I think it was supposed to have a dungeon because that Wind Waker has like only like what 5 or 6 dungeons.
Yeah, just about.
It's like the only area with like a guardian deity that doesn't have a dungeon. And when you think about, I guess, a rule of 3 in a way, we have in Ocarina of Time, there's well, technically, no, not Ocarina of Time, because it is possible that, well, no, it is,
yeah,
because we have Volvagia.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
Velagia.
for the deities. I thought you were talking about the dungeons needed to get to the Master
Oh
Sword.
no, I'm talking about the deities. We have the Deku Tree, Jabu Jabu.
Jabu Jabu and Velagia, yeah.
Do that one because it's in the Fire Temple, but you know it's connected to the Gorons.
Right.
So in Wind Waker, we had the Deku Tree, Velu, and
Jabun.
Jabun.
Yeah.
So if we associate each guardian with the duty of protecting a certain tribe, obviously we have Deku Tree with the Koroks, Velu with the Rito, and then Greatfish Isle has like no one because it's destroyed at that point.
Right.
But like it's like, what if Jabun did have a certain tribe that he was protecting? So I was thinking perhaps what happened was originally the Rito had lived on Greatfish Isle, and Jabun was their guardian. And then after a while, the Force Evolution happens, and then they migrate over to Dragon Roost, and then Velu becomes that new guardian.
Right.
Yeah, so that's just kind of like a random thought.
Nah, it's definitely something I would rock with. Like, you know, like if they're truly derived, like obviously Jabun. When you look at Jabun and then you hear the name Jabun, it mean like there's a connection between Jabun and Jabu Jabu. Like,
it implies
the deity of the Zora. And then once upon a time, the Rito were the Zora. So it could have been at that point where like they like that was them rocking Greatfish Isle, probably in the midst of like, you know, still Zora going into the Rito, the transition and whatnot, and they just decided to move from, you know, Jabun being their guardian deity because they needed, for, you know, what's going on with the world, they needed another deity in order to better suit their species. And then that's when Velu comes into play, and then they migrate. Yeah, oh man, that's big brain. That's nice. I like that. I like that. That's super dope. But then
it's nice when you can just, it's like, well, it's nice when it's like, oh, I don't know what to talk about. Oh, yeah, I'll just think about videos I made. And, oh, wait, you know, we're on this topic. Hey, I'll present this idea that I've already discussed.
Right. Okay. So, like, when you like, see, because we did talk about this earlier. When you say something like that, I mean, other than the Zonai, I'm gonna give you the floor right now because this is how we deal in the fifth dimension. I don't want you to feel limited. Don't feel limited. All right, bring up something, Will. Breath of the Wild, go. Anything, go.
I want to say Malice, but I feel like
let's go. Oh wait.
You were waiting for that.
I
was trying to like not say it.
No, Malice. We gotta deal with Malice. All right, look, I'll start you off in a way because I know like this guy is the Malice guy. You bring up Malice, he's just like, let's go. I'm gonna talk about Malice. Malice is life. Malice is blood. Eat the Malice. Smell the Malice. Malice is good for you, man. Like he like if we had a bowl of Malice, Will would be like, yo, dips. That's him. He will put it under the microscope. He'll be like, yo, I wonder how this tastes. So that's the deal with Malice. Now, I'll start you off. All right, as we all know, Malice became a huge deal in Breath of the Wild, as we see it physically, right? But we get footnotes and other little things when it comes to Malice in previous Zelda games. One, if I'm remembering correctly, was the evil core drop item is Skyward Sword, which is crystallized Malice, and the color is not too off of Malice. And maybe we should talk a little bit about how Malice, like, if this is not spoiling what you got in the tank, maybe we could talk a little bit about how Malice is connected to and derived from Demise and how it gets all the way to Breath of the Wild. And you know, we all know Malice has to be a power source. All right, so let's go off that tangent.
Okay, I do like that question because it does lead into a very interesting topic on, did Demise create Malice with the curse and stuff? First of all, quick correction, it is called an evil crystal.
Crystal, there you go.
Yeah, just wanted to point that out. So, okay, in the Zelda universe, emotions power a lot of things. And if you have an overwhelming feeling of one emotion, it can create like a physical byproduct. We have obviously the evil crystals, which the reason there's cursed bokoblins is because it's their hatred for the world brings them back, so they end up being powered by hatred. And then you have on the other spectrum gratitude crystals, when you do quests around Skyward Sword, it mentions that the gratitude crystals are overwhelming feelings of gratitude. It's two sides of the same coin. They're different emotions, but they both give a byproduct. And all that also leads into force and life force, because in Spirit Tracks, Anjean mentions how the reason the force gem, appears for, to unlock a part of the track is because she has overwhelming feelings of gratitude.
Right.
Yeah, and so if we go back to Demise's curse, I'm not totally convinced that Demise would have created Malice, because if you pay attention to his curse, what it is his hatred of my gosh, the voice cracks.
You're good.
Every time on my live streams, like one voice crack per stream. That's a quota. Gotta get it. Oh gosh. Okay, that was like the worst one I've had. Okay, man. Just can't. My hatred never perishes. So by that logic, it's always reborn, and I would assume that over time, every incarnation of Ganondorf, that hatred would grow.
Yep.
And that's why I think
exponentialize, like it gets exponential with every new revival, and then because we've only seen one true reincarnation of Ganondorf after Ganondorf, and that is in Four Swords Adventures. But every new revival or every new return of Ganondorf, the Malice that is derived from Demise. I'm not saying Demise created Malice, but that's Demise's Malice. Demise created that's Demise's own created Malice. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. But that's essentially what I'm kind of trying, I guess, drive home here.
Right.
Demise didn't create the concept of Malice. It's just because his hatred, because his hatred never perishes, and he always has a reincarnation of his hatred being reborn time and time again. Malice is naturally just a byproduct of the curse.
Right.
So he didn't create Malice. It's just, obviously a being which, hatred never perishes and it always grows with every rebirth. It's only natural that you would see Malice as like a byproduct of that.
Now, a little tangent I want to bring up, that you brought this up. It's funny because Ganondorf, of course, is the incarnation of hatred, and he gains the Malice from Demise. And then, of course, Ganondorf starts off quote unquote as human, but then becomes the Demon King Ganon, or Ganondorf the Demon King, the Demon Thief, and then he goes from human to demon, right? And that's what happens when you deal with Malice. Now, I feel that that's so awesome that you brought up gratitude crystals, because I feel gratitude crystals, or gratitude crystal, gratitude, whatever, is obviously the inverse of Malice, because we've seen in Skyward Sword, and I keep butchering this name because I know it's French, but Batru, what?
Batro, I think.
Batro.
I always, even though I know that I mispronounce it, I always just say Batro.
Batro. I'm gonna go with Batro. Batro was able to go from demon to human with the power of gratitude crystals. So gratitude crystals being the positive element byproduct of the emotion, like you said, and Malice being the negative byproduct of emotion. So you take Malice, you give Malice to a human, the human turns demon. You take gratitude, give it to demon, demon turns human. It's like, and then people were like, yo, Zelda don't got lore. Zelda, man, there's so much stuff. Crazy.
I can't tell you how excited I was way back then when I did my first Malice theory, because I was just like, hey, you know what? Oh, this stuff kind of looks like Malice in the underground portion of the cistern, which, by the way, I will bring that up later on, the ancient cistern. And I was like, oh, okay, that looks kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, there's a cursed bokoblin. Oh, what a coincidence. There's a cursed bokoblin in Breath of the Wild, and it also is powered by Malice. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just I'll take a look at the description. Maybe I'll find something. And I almost didn't, but that's when I found the evil crystal description. And when I saw it was crystallized monster Malice, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
that was like the best. Yeah, that was like the first breakthrough. Anyways, trying to think of what we were talking. Oh yes, so Batro. It's interesting because he he is like, oh, I need gratitude crystals to become human. But what's interesting about it is it's not actually the gratitude crystals from others that turns him into a human. It's his own gratitude.
Exactly.
Because every time you go back to him, he's like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. Thank you so much. I am truly grateful. So it kind of tells you how to purify yourself. You yourself need to have gratitude. And that leads into the whole ancient cistern stuff. Because I went back to like another Malice video, like a part 2, and I was like, okay, so I know that the underground is supposed to be symbolic for Malice, but like, does that mean the top is for gratitude crystals? And like, I couldn't find anything really to link them, but I took a look at some of the text, and I don't know, you might not know this, but it was crazy because there are 2 specific times in the ancient cistern where gratitude is specifically referenced. In the written portion showing the hints at the kind of hand puzzle where you gotta, I think, go to the different, I don't know if they're switches or something. It says, here is inscribed feelings of gratitude.
Right.
I think. And then when you get the blessed idol, the description says it looks like it's supposed to inspire gratitude.
Oh, man.
Bam, there you go.
Right?
Ancient Cistern is its symbolism between the one half, which is Malice, and the other half, which is gratitude.
Right.
And I was livid when I saw that. I'm like, oh my gosh, what? Like, I wasn't expecting there to be a connection, because the Malice one's obvious.
Right. Because, like, someone said earlier in my chat, which makes so much sense, because not only with Breath of the Wild, but you guys need to understand, like, the Zelda series has a tremendous, like, an exuberant and an amazing amount of lore. But a lot of that lore is not, directly spoken to you. A lot of it must be discovered through the world itself and the worlds that you play in each individual game. The worlds tell you stories, and the worlds make these connections. And like Will said, when it comes to Skyward Sword and the Ancient Cistern, like, it just literally broke down just now for you. Just broke down the concept of Malice and gratitude being like the whole yin and yang aspect of Malice being like, aspects of the dark world or the underworld or, wherever demons decide to live. And then, the surface world, where the light world, all light dwellers dwell in, it's all there. A lot of the lore when it comes to Zelda has to be discovered either through the world, the NPCs, or, aspects that you experience when playing the game. Like, all of the lore is not specifically told to you. You have to look for it yourself. It's these nice little things and discoveries you gotta do. Oh, God, I love Zelda. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I really do. Like, I know I was talking to like Dr. Wiley once, and he hates Skyward Sword.
Oh
really
man, what?
like
Timer!
Yeah.
I hope you're watching.
Yeah.
Timer! Guess what? Timer! No. This is me calling out Dr. Wiley, and it's fine because I love you, and I know you love me. But you have to understand, Timer, you talking smack about Skyward Sword. Well, here's me talking smack about you. You're over from across the pond, the other side of the world. Guess what? You're the only one that's short. How you feel about that, big boy? Oh wait, you're not. Ah! I love you, Thomas. Wow. Stop talking shit about Skyward Sword. It's a great game. No, I'm serious. Like Conrad and Ed Zeltic, Commonwealth and Zeltic, Ed and Conrad. They're huge. They're gigantic. You're probably huge too. Like you're probably like 7 foot tall. I wouldn't know. Like every other Zelda tuber I've met except Taima is gigantic.
It's funny
huge. Ed's huge. Luke's huge. Conrad is huge.
It's funny you brought that up because like I've been filling in because like my passport expired a long time ago, so I had to fill on like that huge document and wanted my height. I think I am like over 6 feet. So I'm not like a mountain, but oh,
just keep talking for like 2 minutes.
Okay. So while HMK regrets, while he questions his life choices, make sure to subscribe to Nintendo Black Crisis. I think HMK's new look looks rather terrible. Like, seriously, dude, what happened to all that facial hair? Unbelievable. Okay, question. Who here likes Z-Link? Who likes Z-Link?
So for those who are wondering, I ain't short. I just ain't tall. Now, like it's funny. Like it's funny how Will just said that. Other than Taima, I think I'm like I don't know how tall Hyrule Gamer is. I don't know how tall Crouton is. I don't know how tall Mass Nintendo Bandit is. I like other than Taima, I think every other Zelda tuber is just taller than me by default.
Oh, so that's why you were upset. I thought, like, to me, you were like, "Oh, you're so short."
No, I'm not short. It's just that I ain't tall.
Oh, HMK, he's salty.
No, I'm not salty. I'm 5
You're
foot.
Salty, man. You're salty.
No, I'm not salty. I'm 5'11". So like, you know, every other Zelda tuber is like at least 6 foot. Except I'm like, what happened? I'm like, what happened? HMK's 5'2". What the fuck? Nah, man. So like, see right there, Will's like 6 foot something, man. What the?
Yeah.
So yeah, what were we talking about? We were talking about
Malice.
Skyward. How Taima hates.
Oh right, yeah.
Skyward Sword. All right. But you're going on that tangent. Like, keep talking about Skyward Sword because Skyward Sword is actually one of my favorite Zelda games.
Yeah. So for me, like, if I was gonna do one of those like theoretical like tier lists, I'd put it probably like 1 down from the very top. Because obviously it is quite linear, but yeah. I feel like the story it establishes so much of the lore and stuff, and it does have some incredible dungeons. Like specifically because of time shift stones. I love time shift stones. I really hope those make a return.
I know you're the one. I know that you are on the boat because I'm on that boat too. That say that you know, time shift stones they blew, right? Maybe the Ocarina of Time was made from time shift stones.
Yeah. And there's also there has been talk about, you know, oh, what if the Master Sword is, because it never like. Well, I guess for Breath of the Wild.
But then we have to think about if time shift stones predated the Master Sword or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because I should say predated the Goddess Sword or not. I don't know. But yeah, Skyward Sword is such a great game. I honestly put it like, if it wasn't for Breath of the Wild, before Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword is actually number 2 for me, like under Ocarina of Time. And with Breath of the Wild, I know you say it ain't a masterpiece. For me, Breath of the Wild is number 1. It's Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time, and Skyward Sword. And then
very fair.
After that would be Majora's Mask and Wind Waker HD. I have to make that very known. Wind Waker HD. Not Wind Waker, Wind Waker HD. Because, man, that Swift Sail just makes the game so much better. Good lord.
For me, I think my top, like, the 3 that being the top tier, because, like, I always get asked, oh, what's your favorite Zelda game, you know, ever. Right. But, like, for me, it's hard to point out a favorite, because I just feel like each one has that one thing that makes them really, really good. Yeah. Except for the first Zelda game. Screw that. I hate it. To be fair, back in its time.
You can say that about Zelda 2, but not Zelda 1. Blasphemy.
Oh, I don't even know if I want to play Zelda 2.
You don't.
I had to abuse save and load states for like the first Zelda game.
I dare you for stream. Yeah. Finish it on stream, Zelda 2. I dare you.
No.
I dare.
I never even played that.
that makes it all the while.
I don't want to play Zelda 2.
We'll do it. You gonna know Malice by the time you done with that game.
Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna be overflowing with Malice. I'll be like the new incarnate of Demise's curse. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. So,
all right, go for it.
I wanted to mention Demise's curse because I don't know if you know this, but it's very interesting because what are your thoughts on Malice being related to Demise's curse?
Here we go. And I like how you say, I don't know if you know this. Man, I know everything.
I'm specifically okay. I'm talking about the true translations of Demise's curse.
Right. There are two obviously the Japanese and the English, right? And then, like, when it comes to my interpretation, because I've seen this before, and I saw someone talk about this in the chat, where Demise's curse is not only exclusive to Ganondorf, right?
Yeah.
And that's understandable because, of course, there are other Zelda villains other than Ganondorf and Demise. There's Vati, there's Malice, there's Bellum, there's everyone under the Tuscan Sun. However, the Zelda lore is not only about the lore that you see in the game, but it's also about what you see and what you hear outside the games as well. Now, I will say this, and wait, what the fuck? Okay, I will say this, and I'll stand by it. People can go ahead and try and crucify all you want. Doesn't matter. I believe 100%, despite what certain translations may intend, that yes, Demise's curse is exclusive to Ganon and Ganondorf. And the reason why I say that is because not only is the word highlighted, and you need two very specific important components to three. Let me say that. Three very important specific components when it comes to Demise's curse, his intentions, and what they mean for the games moving forward. And those components are Zelda, Link, and the Triforce, right? You need to understand, that is the biggest essence to Demise and Ganondorf's desire and wants. And not only that, in pre-release coverage, when it comes to Skyward Sword specifically, as we've seen as Demise is like, oh, the origin of Ganondorf, the origin of the curse, blah, blah, blah. They specifically say, oh, you will see the true origin of Ganondorf within Skyward Sword, although he will not make an appearance. And then after Skyward Sword came out, they were talking about Demise. It's like, yes, we purposely designed Demise to harken back to a certain person within the Zelda series. Flaming hair, the way he looks, his eyes, come on, red hair, Ganondorf. Like, it's all laid out for you, right? And sure, Malice is the Demon King, but I believe he is a Demon King because, Demise died. We know there is a demonic underworld, like, under the entire world, not just Hyrule. I don't think that Demise is going to be the end-all be-all when it comes to demonic heritage and royalty. Malice is probably just another demonic king that came out within the region or the entirety of the world when it came to New Hyrule. But there's no reason why Malice should be an incarnation of Demise's hatred when the Triforce has been out of play in the adult timeline since the Wind Waker, right? Demise wants one thing, and we know he wants one thing. He wants the Triforce in order to subjugate and have the world under his foot for all eternity. He died, but his intent never does. The incarnation of his hatred that follows the spirit of the hero and the blood of the goddess, for his desire for the Triforce persisted through Ganondorf through all aspects of life. And that is the main reason, all that compiled, that I believe that the Demise's curse is exclusive to Ganondorf. Of course, like when people say, oh, there's other villains, Vati, Malice, Bellum, to say that, they are incarnations of Demise's hatred one way or another, that's way too derivative to have the basis of, Hyrule or the game's problems, stricken back all the way to Demise. All right, there are other threats. There needs to be other threats. There needs to be other enemies. There needs to be other villains within the Zelda series because it will be way too dry in the aspect in the grand scope of the entire lore. So that's my take. Bam.
Okay. Good job. Anyways, I'm kind of not sure. I think there might be connection because in the Japanese translations, it specifically mentions the curse of the demon tribe.
Right.
So for me, I'm thinking, oh, well, Malice could be a part of this, demon tribe. But yeah, you make a very good point in terms of the Triforce.
Right, and then you also have to think about you also have to think about one aspect is that when we come with Malice, all right, there could be different demon tribes. Because, I don't feel that the demonic world within Zelda, although it's not fleshed out, it's not going to be one, it ain't going to be Coruscant in, Star Wars. It's not going to be one planet that's just one big city, right? And I feel there's going to be other aspects, other demon kings, and whatnot. And I feel that Malice's main problem in Spirit Tracks wasn't truly against, because what was his name? That stupid Chancellor Cole, right? You know, I feel that Chancellor Cole and Malice's problem wasn't really with the new royal family, with, you know, what was going on. It was with the spirits of good and the Locomo. I feel that his main problem, their main problem, was with those people and not specifically the royal family of Hyrule living in New Hyrule. Like, Hyrule is gone by the time of Spirit Tracks. It is something new, completely different. There's no Master Sword, there's no Triforce, there's no none. Just a new land and derived. And you saw the fucking, the holy stained glass that shows Tetra instead of a princess. Like, you know, they started over, right? And, you know, this was a land blessed by the spirits of good, and I feel that Malice's main problem was with the spirits of good and the Locomo.
Well, it's interesting because obviously there is kind of a parallel between the intro of, you know, what happens in Spirit Tracks and then Skyward Sword. One thing that's worth noting is for the translations, it's not actually spirits of good, it's a spirit of good.
All
it's
right,
like one
spirit of
being.
good, all right.
Yeah.
All right. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I just wanted to establish that in case you didn't know. And what else was there? One thing that is also worth noting is, while their desires aren't related to like the Triforce, if we do assume that, you know, Triforce is just a lot of concentrated force.
Right.
Okay. Bellum's motives.
Dang. All right. Now I see where you're going. Here we go.
Yeah, okay. Bellum's motives, not to get the Triforce, but he targets Tetra, who happens to have the most life force. Zelda is well, I mean, that was for Skyward Sword,
right.
So that's already an attempt to get the Triforce. But I guess Spirit Tracks, you know, Zelda's needed as a vessel for the Demon King. I guess I can't remember exactly why, but it could relate to the whole, like, she holds the most force. But then Vati appears, and guess what? He tries to find the Light Force. It's not the Triforce, but he still tries to find the Light Force, which happens to be in Zelda.
Right.
So I feel like there's still that connection.
I feel like here's a little bit of like Kingdom Hearts lore that I'm just gonna, like, you know, spill into Zelda lore a little bit.
I've only played like Kingdom Hearts 2.
No. It's fine. It's just like a very small aspect I'm trying to correlate a little bit. You know, Heartless, which is the darkness within all people's hearts and stuff. They're drawn to one thing, and they're drawn instinctively to hearts, and that's what they consume. And from what you're laying down, I feel there might be a similar motive, that maybe demons within the lore of Zelda are not specifically drawn, in Demise include, but Demise is a smart demon. You know, it's not specifically drawn to the aspect of the Triforce, but drawn to Force completely. If we're gonna go off the advent, that Triforce is merely 3 forces of the Golden Goddesses put together, and that is what they hunger for. And that will make sense for every demonic aspect enemy that we've seen throughout the Zelda series. And, you know, with Malice, with Vati, as he became, like, you know, like, Wind Demon, whatever, you know. So, Ganondorf, they're all after force, because demons hunger for force. And that could be like, you know, something that ties them all together, but doesn't completely put them under the umbrella of Demise's curse.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
This is nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I was worried they'd be like, oh, I don't know what to talk about, but we've been like going to different games, you know.
No, that's the power of the 5th dimension. So,
it's a 5th dimension.
Right.
Why not choose the 4th dimension? I'm curious. Is it just like, oh, hey, you know what? 5th dimension sounds really cool. Let's go with that.
Okay, so there's 2. He did it, chat. He did it. He asked about the 5th dimension. That's 5 for 5. All right. Wow.
Yes.
So,
really?
Yeah, really. Like, every time I had a guest here, they always ask about, like, why the 5th dimension? So, when it comes to the 5th dimension, there's 2 reasons why I named it the 5th dimension. The first has to deal with Square Enix and Nomura's games, right? And it was actually a joke, hee hee ha ha. But then the other aspect comes with the real notion of the 5th dimension. So, the first thing is with Square Enix. Tetsuya Nomura, as a video game director or as a video game contributor artist, has touched upon heavily on 5 different series, right? And the first dimension would be Final Fantasy. The 3rd dimension would be Kingdom Hearts. The 4th dimension would be The World Ends With You, and the 5th dimension would be Verum Rex. Now, the 2nd dimension, you only play Kingdom Hearts 2, so the joke is probably going to go over your head, but that's fine. The 2nd dimension would be The Bouncer. And what is the bouncer? The bouncer is kind of like the bouncer's main character is kind of Proto Sora that Nomura and Square Enix kind of had a hand in before the first Kingdom Hearts game came out, and that's why I messed around with the aspect of the fifth dimension. Now, what the fifth dimension actually is in mathematical theory, in theoretical mathematics and string theory, is that the fifth dimension is the dimension that is above the fourth dimension, with the fourth dimension being time, right? As we know that, we have one-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional space. The fourth dimensional aspect would be that incorporates the fourth dimension as time. And then the fifth dimension would be whatever comes after that, which is currently unknown when it comes to, the great minds that rather think. And then I feel when it comes to video games, specifically video games that are very heavy in lore, they always tackle an aspect of time. And with this fifth dimension, we tackle those aspects in a dimension that is beyond that of time. And Legend of Zelda, as we all know, deals a lot with time, because we deal with 3 different timeline outcomes when it comes to the ending of Ocarina of Time. So that is why we dwell in the fifth dimension.
Wow. and here I am. It's like, hey, Nintendo Black Crisis. Hey, love your videos. I wonder, how did you get the name Nintendo Black Crisis? It's like, I like Nintendo games. I wanted a color, and Pokemon Black's my favorite. Pokemon game. I Pokemon Black, and then NBC sounded cool, so I chose a cool C word, Nintendo Black Crisis. And it's like, a lot of people, I find they do have these like crazy like childhood stories, or they have a valid reasoning for their names of like their channels, or I guess in your case a show. Right. And then it's like, no, it sounded cool.
Nah, but you shouldn't feel bad about it, because sometimes that's all you need. It sounded cool. It's yours.
Yeah.
Like, people honestly, they constantly look for reasoning for an aspect that they feel either comfortable with or they enjoy, and sometimes you don't really need one, and you should, and people need to be okay with that. But the first person that needs to be okay with that is you. And I know, and I want to assume that you are, unless you're gonna go out and sacrifice your check mark for Nintendo Zonai Crisis.
Yeah, spin-off channel. Get some extra YouTube play buttons. Start a collection. Yeah, it's funny because even now it's like, you know what? I wouldn't change my username. I still kind of like it. So
right, it's great. I love it.
I think a lot of people they would regret it, years later, especially if they don't expect to like grow to the amount they do. It's like, I want to switch it.
See, now here's a little tangent that I want to go off of, and here's a little bit of advice when it comes to any aspiring content creators or Twitch streamers or whatever. When it comes to I've given seminars and classes about this. When it comes to a name of Nintendo Black Crisis, the only thing I'm not gonna say wrong with it, but the only thing that would have been a detriment, which it turned out it wasn't, because look at you, right? Was the amount of syllables, and that's it, right? But when it comes to Nintendo Black Crisis, I felt that was not only a very cool name, a very great name, it's also a very safe name in terms of what you possibly want to do with content. Because obviously, you're someone who loves Nintendo, right? You love Nintendo so much. Like, Zelda wasn't really. You told me earlier in the stream, Zelda wasn't really your first bag, and I see that you're putting Paper Mario content out, and like, oh my god, Origami King, let's go, right? So when it comes to Nintendo Black Crisis, automatically with your name, you're not limited at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
And a lot of people, they kind of do that mistake that they realize later on that could put them in a hole, right? Obviously, if they don't feel like they're gonna put a hole, they feel like they don't want to get, they're not gonna get burnt out from a certain specific series or content, then more power to them, But it's a very scary reality that you could get burnt out from a certain series or content, and then when you incorporate that certain series into your name, then that could get detrimental down the line, right? And that's why, HMK, I deal with Zelda and Kingdom Hearts. My name doesn't have really any pertinence to those specific series. I'm good. Nintendo Black Crisis, you do a lot of Zelda content, you're known for a lot of Zelda content, but you're free to do anything that falls under Nintendo. Mass Nintendo Bandit, the same thing. Commonwealth Realm, it doesn't really have anything to pertain to Zelda. Now, a name like Zeltic, Zeltic sounds cool. Sure, it has hints to Zelda, but not completely, right? You're not gonna put in the first 3 letters of Zelda and get that search engine off for search engine optimization, and it's gonna work against you because it won't. Zeltic, that's great. Hey, you have flavors from Zelda, but it shows that you are a Nintendo fan in general, and that's like the main thing. So like when it comes to a name like that, you know, like you did great. Shit.
Yeah, I think Zeltic's name is like really good because it's, like you said, it's short, it's simple, it's
2
really
syllables.
Easy,
Two syllables. Like
yeah, it's so
like
it's
the less the syllables, the better, guys.
You just search it up. But yeah, it's true that he would be more associated with Zelda stuff, given the connection to Zelda.
Right.
But it's funny because on the topic of branching out and doing other games, it can get kind of annoying when you upload one video that isn't related to Zelda.
Oh, I know this is coming. I know it's coming.
And then people are like, "Oh, so you ran out of Zelda content, huh?" Or it's like, what are the other ones? Oh, so you've completely given up, or it's like, "Oh, you've given up on Zelda now. You're not uploading any more Zelda. You've abandoned it." It's like, relax. Like the past 50 videos have been like Zelda stuff. I can upload 1 or 2 videos, not Zelda stuff. Relax, take a deep breath. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, like I do try to branch out, not only just with like other Zelda games, but just Nintendo stuff in general. And Thousand Year Door is my favorite game of all time.
Yo, your Paper Mario content has been doing really, really good, man. Oh
yeah,
my god.
Yeah, no,
I'm so happy
talk
for you.
about that for a second? So the trailer analysis, I wasn't sure how well that would be received, but that one was pretty good. And then I'm like, okay, but that's an analysis. If I do another video, and this one took like a lot of time, it's like, is this one just gonna like be terrible? And like it didn't spike as high as the other one, but like already it's kind of surpassed that other one for views. And I'm like, combine both of them, that's over 120,000 views. It's like, I'll take it.
Yo, it's the gamble you gotta take, and you rolled a 20. Like, holy shit. Like,
yeah, and what I usually do is when I want to make a video of something not Zelda related, I will take that gamble. I'll make sure, okay, let's make it on a topic that will be interesting. Right. So I love Mario Kart, specifically Mario Kart 8, and
wait,
Mario
8
Kart
or
2
Deluxe?
8.
Not Deluxe?
Deluxe is still fine.
You're probably one of those fire hoppers and demon sliders.
I am. I am. I play. Okay, it's funny because people laugh at it, but I was in the quote unquote competitive.
Look at NBC going for the trophies. Look at this man.
Laugh all you want, but there was a new strat on one track. There was a new strat on one track.
Yeah.
And currently, I have the 10th best time in the world on that for time trials.
Hey, dope! Whoa.
And back then, I'm not serious. I played this game so much. That's why I loved Mario Kart 8, because for that tech, it kept me to the game. I had no interest before that in like the quote unquote competitive side, like time trials or like just worldwide team versus team stuff. But back then, I did have 3 to 5 top 10 worldwide times, and I had plenty of top North American times, and to this day I still hold the Canadian record for Rainbow Road, the 8 version.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and oh man, there's like, I don't know how to explain it. I've been like recently going back to do some time trials because of, like I said, we found like that strat on that one track.
Right.
But like I go back to try and race and beat that Rainbow Road time because there's a certain sub I was trying to achieve. And if I achieved it, I'd be like the 4th person or 5th person in North America to sub 2 minutes on all tracks. But I just can't get it. I'm so far behind. I'm like, I can't race this track anymore. But yeah, anyways, I was very involved in Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U. And even now, the Wii U is now my Mario Kart 8 machine. I did transition to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe though, and I did get 3 or 4 worldwide top 10s on that, and they were all from 200cc time trials, because that's the one thing I was really looking forward to. But yeah, aside from me acting like an elitist, it's really hard to talk about competitive stuff because people laugh at it, and then when you try to explain like, oh no, I was really good at this, it's like, oh well, you're an elitist.
Not really, nah. Like, look, yo, if you got the records for it, man, yo, you shouldn't be bad. You shouldn't feel bad to show them off. Like, come on. But I will say this. You know, and I know I'll get some flame for it. You know, because I love Mario Kart. I've played Mario Kart since the beginning, and I love Mario Kart Deluxe. And I'm gonna tell you this right now, and this is coming from a person that snakes in Double Dash, fire hopping and demon sliding did not belong in Mario Kart 8.
Ooh. Yeah, honestly, back then I'd be like, oh no, yeah, they totally were intended. But like, in fact, if you go back to my very first video on the channel, because I took down a lot of like Let's Plays and stuff. I just want to keep the channel more kind of organized and clean.
Right.
The first video I had was a video in defense of fire hopping, and I still stick to a lot of what I said, but the presentation of it wasn't very good. And that's like the first video that's on my channel right now. Oh gosh. No.
Do it.
Oh no. Actually, no. It's funny you bring that up because I've thought about it. In fact, since I go back into Mario Kart 8, I'm planning to make one big video, and it's simply going to be called "A Case for Competitive Mario Kart."
Do it. No, do it. That sounds so.
No, I have planned it, and I'm going to specifically do it from my perspective of Mario Kart 8 because there's a lot of, there is a lot of unnecessary flack towards the idea of it because each year there are quote unquote seasons where like the top players of each country do like team 6v6s, and I think the one a couple of years ago was like Japan versus the UK, and without context it was just no commentary, 12 tracks to see who will get the most points. And you should see the amount of dislikes on that thing. Like, there was no commentary. People just disliked it when they saw it. It's like, okay. Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't.
You know what you should do? You should do, like, for that video, you should take a track that you know you're really good at, play it in 8, and then play it in Deluxe, and then show like the difference in output of your ability when you don't have fire hopping and demon sliding from 8 to Deluxe, like in the both.
That's tracks. That's one thing that kind of drives me crazy because there were so many people who were like, finally, people would need skill to win. But it's like, you do realize that to get a worldwide top 10,
demon sliding and fire hopping isn't easy.
Yes, but also, well, it's not like fire hopping for me was easy, but demon sliding took forever for me to get down. But the problem is, if you have a worldwide top 10, to get one, you can't just know how to fire hop. Right, and you have to slide. You have to have perfect lines and everything. And if people are like thinking, if fire hopping goes away, all these people who have to worldwide top 10 times, they're suddenly gonna
because they were inherently good in Mario Kart to begin with. So
yeah. A lot of those players. Despite our complaints, we did just obviously move on.
Right.
And there are a good amount of them that still have top 10 times.
God, man, you saying all this makes me really mad. That I really wish Nintendo took their competitive scene way more seriously. God.
I'm fine with people like. Okay, so if you laugh at it and think it's a joke, that like, I kind of have a problem with that. And also the problem is a lot of people will kind of be ignorant in what they say, be like, oh, lol, there's no competitive scene from Mario Kart 8, but that's straight up true. I mean, straight up false. It might not be esports level, and
definitely not.
I'll be the first to say, of course it's not esports level, but you can't say that there wasn't a competitive scene. There is a competitive scene. But yeah, honestly, do you have a Wii U? You have one, right? Oh,
I saw my Wii U. Yeah, it's my Zelda machine.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm telling you right now, as soon as Twilight Princess and hey, look, guys, we're talking about Zelda again. Haha. As soon as Twilight Princess and Wind Waker come to the Switch, it's over. I'm giving it a Vikings. God, no, wait, damn. Nah, Skyward Sword has to come to the Switch too. Anyways, as soon as those Zelda games come to the Switch, I'm giving this thing a Vikings burial. I'm literally gonna put it in a shoebox, drift out to sea. I'm gonna try my hardest to shoot a fire arrow at it, and goodbye.
But, I was gonna say we should on the topic of it, we should totally play some of the. If you have it, do you have it for the Wii U?
I have Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U and for Switch. Bro, I don't want you to destroy me in 8. Like, what? I can't. Look, all right, if we're talking Double Dash, let's go. But of course, you know, we can't
I
do
tried
double dash
learning
one.
double dash. I couldn't really snake properly because you can because that one the drifting worked differently.
bro.
Where you gotta
snaking molded me. I grew up with snaking, bro. I like people throw. I'm in first, holding a lightning, and they can't use it. I mean, I knew all the stress. I'm in first, holding a lightning. People have a blue shell. They're gonna throw at me. I dodge it. I dodge it like ultra instant.
That's
like,
the best. That's the best.
I turn my brain off when a blue shell comes up to me. Like, all right, snake, dodge. What? I'm still first.
Well, I mean, we could play deluxe at least.
Yeah, deluxe. I would rather play deluxe, please.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the Wii U, and I'm telling you right now, I don't appreciate the Wii U's controller. I really don't. Like both.
Yeah, before I was like, oh, this is so comfortable.
And up here, like, no, Nintendo. I don't
well, for me, it still is. It's comfortable to hold it, but you really can't go back to it once you it's like, I'll just grab the Switch with like maybe a grip or something, and it feels so comfortable. But I do have before my channel blew up. I do have like a Mario Kart 8 channel where I upload all my time trial times and stuff. It's been not that active, but like I recently uploaded the Dragon Driftway one I got.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm still trying to do that, and I was so bad back then because I could time trial just for like 5 or 6 hours just to get like a really really good time. But I procrastinated so much. I did nothing else. I'm like, I'm not being productive at all. I feel terrible. And after that, once I got into videos, I'm like, I finally feel like I've gotten away from that. But then when I returned to the game, because of new strats and stuff, I'm like, I'll just play for another like 10 minutes. It was like 2 hours later.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But before we move on to the next subject, I have a viewer in my chat that's telling me to tell you that you're Kuro Sensei.
Oh, that's my friend Adam. Love you.
He told me before your channel blew up, you were really, really good at animation.
I wasn't that good.
How good are you?
I really wasn't that good, honestly.
Do I have Kuro Sensei? Is there a animation on YouTube that I can play on stream right now?
Wait, hold on. Let me check. The problem is I don't know if I want to show it because even if I do have it, it has like my name, the college I went to, because it has like an opening card.
No, not now. That's actually that's against the rules of my chat.
I'll show maybe it to you some other time because I did because we had to. So my channel blew up at around like halfway through. It was the summer after my first year of animation,
right?
And I feel like there's quite a few people who would be like, oh, well, my channel's blowing up, I'll just drop out and stuff. But I really enjoyed animation, and I wanted to make sure that I stuck with it. Oh, wow,
that was so smart.
Yeah. So I still grew the channel. I stayed in college. Obviously, I tried to prioritize the college stuff. And at best, it was like a video every month or two. And then once I just kept telling myself, once my third year is done, I can just go like full-time YouTube. And I did that. And everything just worked out. And like it was around the time that
super smart.
Yeah, around the time I had gotten 100,000. And after that, things kind of slowed down, obviously. And I was kind of worried. But then, lo and behold, Breath of the Wild 2's trailer.
Hey.
Oh, that.
But before that trailer, your Breath of the Wild content was already doing really good.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it definitely was. But like, it does even better.
Right.
And
exactly.
I was trying to. Well, also I was branching out to non-Breath of the Wild videos, and those obviously don't do nearly as well as Breath of the Wild. So that's why my channel was sort of not on a decline, obviously, but I was getting like maybe 50-ish subs a day, and for what I was making before, that was kind of low. But I didn't want to like complain too much about it because there's people who, like, back then it took me 4 or 5 years to get like 500 subs. So yeah.
All right. So
go
ahead.
I was just gonna say. So Adam's my friend that sometimes joins me on my streams, and he also went to college with me, so that's why he kind of knows about that. So.
All right. Dope. Mm. So on the next topic that I want
one last thing. Kuro Sensei, that's an inside joke. There's an anime called Assassination Classroom, and then
I know. Yeah. So that's you.
It's just a joke.
All right.
Anyways, go on.
All right, so the one tangent that I do want to bring up, because a lot of people really want me to bring this up on stream, and here we go. Now, before you guys get really antsy in the pantsy, right, is that Zelda, the developers and people at Nintendo already confirmed that Breath of the Wild does take place somewhere, obviously, probably at the end of the Zelda timeline, and it is part of the Zelda timeline. Now, a lot of people take this and misconstrue this as the game being at the end of the timeline, its own timeline, combining the timeline, yada yada yada. We're gonna ignore that because there's not enough evidence to support that notion, other than the fact that there's aspects in Breath of the Wild that pertain to each timeline. Now, when it comes to the timeline mess of Breath of the Wild, here's one thing I want to discuss with you, is that let's discuss each timeline possibility when it comes to where Breath of the Wild could be in, and at the end of that, what we truly believe is, like, Breath of the Wild, if we had to choose a timeline, what it would be in. And I want to start off the easy one really quick, to the easy one I say because I feel there's the least amount of proof pertaining to that, is the adult timeline. Now, what proof do we have within Breath of the Wild? Because there's proof that exists for all three timelines. What proof do we have when it comes to the adult timeline for Breath of the Wild, that Breath of the Wild could be in the adult timeline? What proof do we have? And of course, we have to talk about the rock salt. That's a thing. It's from a great sea. So other than that, there's like that notion that a lot of people want to play with, that at the end of Ganondorf's defeat, after Hyrule was washed away, that, and I really need to bring in a Bill Nye the Science Guy here for this question. I really need to find someone, because I've been wanting to find someone so hard to answer this question, but I'm just gonna go off what could be semi-possible, quasi-possible, whatever. And that is the notion that after the defeat of Ganondorf at the end of the Wind Waker, when Hyrule was truly washed away, it wasn't sealed, it was washed away. That after the people of Hyrule went off and went to found New Hyrule, is 10,000 years plus enough time for a great sea that we've seen in the Wind Waker to dry up and to be resettled enough to have the royal family back in Hyrule. Is that possible, Mr. Science? We don't have Mr. Science, but what do you think?
I think we have to look at where that water came from. The water rained down from the heavens. In fact, I think it's described as like a heavenly water. Right. I can't remember. But I would say that if that water came from the heavens so quickly, I wouldn't be surprised if the goddesses had the power to quickly dry it all up.
Right.
I will obviously, it's hard to imagine that the sea would dry up so quickly, but in a way, it flooded really quickly. I feel like the goddesses would hold that ability to reset stuff to normal. Also, regarding the rock salt, technically, we do have the Lanayru Sandsea.
Yep. From
Skyward Sword. So that's another example of a sea.
Yeah, of it just straight up drying up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that notion and the rock salt, we also have the footnotes of we do have the footnotes of a clash between the Hero of Time and the King of Evil, and Princess Zelda that assisted him in the climax of Ocarina of Time. We do have the lore that existed, the lore that exists of remembering that whole time and time, right? And that, I feel, obviously it sways to the adult timeline in favor, not only the adult timeline but also the downfall timeline in favor, because those two aspects would have happened in a timeline like that for Breath of the Wild to exist and to remember those battles. So that also exists, but it's just me and the Great Sea, and the fact that the Master Sword was in Ganondorf's head, and I feel it's too wild for me. Haha, Breath of the Wild, right? And you know, am I missing anything that could help the notion of this taking place in the adult timeline?
I really don't know, because that's something I've thought of as well, because they leave the Master Sword in Ganondorf's skull.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes me feel like, by that logic, he would be like eternally sealed down there.
Exactly.
One thing I do want to point out is the fact that once that... So they wash away Hyrule, but we can't say that the Triforce doesn't exist by the time of like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks.
It does exist, but it's elsewhere.
Exactly, yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like we can't like completely disregard it, because the Triforce can do, well, anything, you know, it grants wishes. But also because if it really was destroyed, that would have collapsed that world, because we've seen that happen in A Link Between Worlds. They lost that Triforce in the parallel world, and the kingdom began to crumble. And also, we know that the Triforce in Hyrule was able to... Well, I don't know if we could say it had the power to create another Triforce, more so it restored it.
Restore. I would go with restore.
Yeah. So, I feel like the Triforce is definitely still a thing. I guess maybe it returned to the Sacred Realm. And therefore, they could explain away, you know, Breath of the Wild taking place there, because the Triforce does still exist. But yeah, for the adult timeline, it's kind of a weird case. I mean, yeah, you got Koroks, but nothing much.
Yeah,
else.
Koroks would definitely go into that. But you know, honestly, for me, and I feel that is nearly unanimous, where like, okay, Breath of the Wild does not take place in the adult timeline. I feel that's almost unanimous thing among Zelda fans and theorists and stuff. Like, okay, you know, adult timeline out of the picture, right? So then we get to the two timelines that fuel the controversy so much. So because we have two ravenous people within two bases of Downfall timeline and the Child timeline. Now, I want to tackle the Downfall timeline last, right? So let's tackle the Child timeline. I feel we have a lot of proof when it comes to the Child timeline. Yes. When it comes to the whole, everything that happened in Twilight Princess, how Twilight Princess could really truly connect to Breath of the Wild, and you know, of course, people were like, "Oh, but Four Swords Adventures are in the way." You know, when it comes to lore, and not only just lore, but promotion. You know, a lot of promotional aspects were tied between Twilight Princess HD and Breath of the Wild. You know, the Wolf Link amiibo, all that good jazz. The fact that Wolf Link, you can summon Wolf Link in Breath of the Wild, I feel like is something that could be used in its favor. But then, like, people make the argument that, oh, if Breath of the Wild had lore and, you know, remembrances of what happened at the end of Ocarina of Time, there's no way the Child timeline could have happened, because the Child timeline, you know, reverts all that. Link went back to the past in order to avert all that fate. That's why the whole timeline split happened. Yada yada yada. The argument that I want to make is that Link went from the future back to the past and had to recount everything that happened during his days as an adult in order for everyone to believe him, along with showing off the Triforce of Courage, right? Mm-hmm. He had to go into detail, and I feel it's from that detail that these legends were able to exist by the time of Breath of the Wild, including the notion of the Ganondorf becoming the Great King of Evil, of Ruto becoming the Sage of Water, among other things. And I feel there's way too much connections from what was there's too many connections of what was introduced in Twilight Princess that went on to exist in Breath of the Wild for it not to be in the Child timeline. So what do you have to say about that?
I will in a bit bring up an interesting take that's different from the official timeline, and it was it's thought out by someone who frequently reads my scripts and proofreads everything, Larulian historian, and I'll go over that timeline in a bit because it's very interesting. But as for me, if it's like, okay, so it has to fall under one timeline, where would it fall under? I definitely would go with Child, just because of the fact there are just so many references to Twilight Princess Ganondorf in the trailer. There's a lot to that, and it's like, oh well, you know, there's the Four Swords Adventures, which, you know, splits them, and that's a new Ganondorf. This brings in a new timeline where it goes down a linear. Yeah, it goes. Okay, so Skyward Sword goes down a linear route, and then the split happens not in Ocarina of Time. Well, the first split happens in Minish Cap. There's one where Vati is destroyed, and one where Vati is sealed. And one of the reasons I think that is because there is an alternate ending to Minish Cap, where you don't get up to the tower in time, and Vati successfully takes all of Zelda's life force, or light force, and becomes a god. So in that case, he wasn't destroyed, but he would be sealed away. And that splits off into the other Four Sword games. And that, the Fallen timeline, that's where that fits under.
Right.
With... Oh, no, it doesn't. No. I'm trying to think. Give me a second. I need to get the image up. Is there anything you want to quickly talk about before
because I like how you brought up the first split or other splits on time other than Ocarina of Time. I made this theory a long ass time ago that I brought up to Matt Pat when I met him at one of the E3s, and that is the first a possible timeline split. But that's before we knew what Breath of the Wild was. A possible timeline split that happened was with what happened at the end of Skyward Sword, because you go back to the past, like Demise gets destroyed in the future, but then you go back to the past and you destroy Demise in the past. And then, of course, you can't, when we deal with the whole concept of multiverse theory, you can't change what happened in your own future, because when you go into the future, it becomes, when you go into the past becomes, what was it? Whatever. You can't change your future, because, your future is already established, yada, yada, yada. You destroyed Demise in the future, the imprison in the future using the Triforce, yet you go into the past to destroy Demise in the past. That past is what created, and obviously created, the incarnation of hatred, Ganondorf. That past led to, everything that's happened in the Zelda series now. But the future that Skyward Sword Link went back to, where the prison was already destroyed, that is another timeline entirely, which could lead to the prospective aspect of Breath of the Wild, or something completely different that we're currently unknown, that Nintendo might decide to put their foot in. But that's one thing I want to bring up when you said that.
Yeah. So I think I sent you the image of the made-up timeline. So basically, Skyward Sword goes down to Minish Cap, and then there's a sealing of Vati, which if he's sealed, or the confrontation with Vati, if he's sealed, it splits off to the next two games which have him. Four Swords Adventures is the last one where he ends up being destroyed, and then after that it's all the Downfall games. And this categorization works because we have one split where all the Beast Ganons make an appearance.
Yep.
All the maidens, because there's maidens in both Four Swords Adventures and A Link to the Past, but they're of different splits for some reason. It's really weird.
Right.
Because Four Swords Adventures is Child, and A Link to the Past is Downfall. But in this case, we have Four Swords Adventures leads down to the first game in Fallen, A Link to the Past.
Yep.
And those two are the games that have the maidens. So, it sort of fits that way. And then the other route is Vati gets destroyed, and that leads to Ocarina of Time, and then that's where the second split happens. Yeah, where it's both the adults and child. Yeah, what's up?
A lot of this makes a lot of sense. I'm like, holy shit, this is really good. There's one kink in the armor. There's only one kink in the armor when it comes to the timeline like this, and that's the fact that A Link to the Past references Ocarina of Time. And
is that the... Which one? Is that in the opening?
Huh? Not in the opening, but they talk about Ganon being human, being a demon thief. Ganondorf, the name Ganondorf originated in A Link to the Past, even though we've never seen Ganondorf as Ganondorf. It's only Ganon. Mm-hmm. But Ganon's origin was talked about and referenced from what happened in Ocarina of Time in A Link to the Past.
Right.
So that's the only kick. If you're able to restructure that to fix that, then I feel that this is perfect, actually.
Yeah, here, let me just take a look. I may have mentioned it in my video, I have no idea, because I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff. Okay, so... Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright.
But
I'd probably have to get back to whoever, because Laurelian Historian made that timeline, and I was like, oh, I love this, so I made like a video out of that.
yeah, but from what this is made, and I want to take your consideration from this, I want to assume that you also subtly agree that Breath of the Wild could take place in the child timeline.
Yes, okay, so if it's like, oh, you gotta choose one, I definitely believe that it would point towards a child timeline.
Right.
But when it comes to what Nintendo's gonna do, I feel like they're just gonna leave it at the end of all timelines.
I really don't think they're gonna do that. You know, a lot of people think that's a possibility from how cryptic they are, but I feel like with them introducing Breath of the Wild to the whole notion of Ganondorf, Ganondorf, I feel, is the key that's gonna solve all this, and like his presence is too big and too important to leave it ambiguous as all timelines type of stuff, right? And then when it comes to the downfall timeline, I know a lot of people advocate for the downfall timeline. I'm personally one that advocates for the child timeline, but I'm not gonna write off the notion or possibility that this could take place in the downfall timeline, because there's a lot of evidence for the downfall timeline, but there's a lot of evidence for the child timeline. For the downfall timeline, there's obviously the records of the great battle happening, the sages, all that good jazz, and even enemies, Lionels don't exist in any other timeline but the downfall timeline, and there's a lot of proof that pertains to that. But the two huge things I feel that a lot of people often forget that work in the child timeline's favor is, one, in the downfall timeline, by the time of Zelda 2, Hyrule is just gone, bro. Hyrule, the kingdom, it's gone. That's why they call it the downfall timeline, because the kingdom is not there. It shrinks. It's gone. It's a shadow of its former self. And people are living in cages. People are living in caves. The towns are so muddy up. The demons and monsters are running everywhere. Hyrule is legit at its worst. And you're gonna tell me that a kingdom that went through technological greatness and went back to a medieval state by the time of Breath of the Wild could exist in a timeline where, from what we know already, Hyrule is gone and like the blood of the gods is thinned out that much? I don't think so. And then for child timeline, Hyrule stays intact. The kingdom stays intact. The kingdom is still flourishing. It's huge. Everyone comes together. By the time of Four Swords Adventures, the Gerudo are back. The Gerudo are not a thing in the downfall timeline. They're not. And the Gerudo are thriving in Breath of the Wild. They're thriving in Twilight. No, they weren't in Twilight Princess. They were thriving in Ocarina of Time. The whole prospect, or the notion of the Gerudo exodus or genocide happened. They made amends in Four Swords Adventures. That puts them dead center into being into Breath of the Wild. And not only that, but with Breath of the Wild and with Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword, and Twilight Princess, those are the only 3 games in the entirety of The Legend of Zelda that reference Lanayru, Eldin, and Faron. Thank you. Lanayru, Eldin, and Faron in regions and in entities, right? So,
yeah.
They're carrying over what's established in the previous games and whatnot. You can take the full quote of Zelda's speech at the first memory, but whatever.
Yeah, so you mentioned how the problem with the timeline I gave you was it specifically the references to Ganondorf being human? Was that the issue?
No, the issue was that they referenced Ganon's origin as Ganondorf. I won't put when he was a human known as the Demon Thief. Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Right.
What do we see in Four Swords Adventures, which takes place before A Link to the Past?
Oh, you sneaky!
Yeah.
Oh, you
that's
sneaky!
Oh,
okay.
All
right. You
okay.
Wait. You think you sneaky, but I got you. The imprisonment war still have to happen, and the imprisonment war is all around Triforce, baby. Four Swords Adventures didn't have Triforce. Where you at? I saw you're trying to be sneaky. I got you. So what do you guys say about that?
I can't remember.
Oof.
Because I think there was talk of like the imprisoning war being different from like Ocarina of Time's events. But like how would that Because, well, the imprisoning war... Yeah, but it mentions Ganondorf going into the Sacred Realm, right?
Right.
Yeah. We don't see
and having the Triforce at that point. Like, where would he get the Triforce by the time of A Link to the Past if he didn't get it already in Ocarina of Time?
But we don't see Ganondorf in Four Swords Adventures. That stuff happened like before.
Yeah, behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that, I think that could still work.
It could, but will it though?
Well, okay. So the idea behind this is the reason why I feel like it would work is the fact that in this case we have one Ganondorf in every split. In the child timeline, it goes from the Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time to this new Ganondorf in Four Swords Adventures, and then possibly, I don't know, back to the Twilight Princess one and Breath of the Wild. But in this case, what if the Ganon seen in the Fallen timeline wasn't the one from Ocarina of Time? The one in the Fallen timeline, which takes on all the beast forms, is that new one in Four Swords Adventures. So then we have one Ganondorf per split. And that also would connect Twilight Princess to Breath of the Wild. There wouldn't be no in-between Four Swords Adventures.
My head hurts.
But
I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah. I know there's more to the imprisoning war, I think, to like explain it, but obviously I'm just giving you like a super... I'm trying to summarize everything.
Right.
You know?
No. I definitely feel that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But,
big brain. Galaxy brain.
No, it is Galaxy brain.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
But,
okay, I'm gonna go ahead and save that. Alright, but, yeah, I think that's a good time to end off this thing, because I actually did reach 10. But, well, before I sign off, and of course, guys, please be sure to check out NintendoBlackCrisis' channel. I'm going to leave all the links in the channel. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and spam that in, in the chat below. But it is time for a bunch of huge announcements. And during these announcements time, I hope that I will have the floor and that everyone in the chat, including NintendoBlackCrisis, gets ready and lets the announcements go on. So that's NintendoBlackCrisis stuff. And give me a second. I just have to make sure everything is ready for this huge announcement. I'm actually gonna go ahead and make a tweet really quick and just say it is huge announcement time. Like, this is the moment you guys have been waiting for when it comes to me putting together something for over a month. And first and foremost, I'm going to reveal the next guest for the fifth dimension. And I'm just making sure everything is right. You guys have to understand. I've been trying to put this together for a very... Alright. Okay, I think everything is right. And if everything is right, then someone in this chat already knows this. It's almost time. I will give you the okay when I give you the okay. You already know my little sneaky mouse. First and foremost, let us introduce the next guest for the promo when it comes to the next episode, the first episode of June when it comes to the fifth dimension. Did you guys really think I was gonna stick to video games? Get ready for the next episode of fifth dimension. Here is the teaser for the next guest. That is right. On the next episode, next Friday, Ventheguy will be joining HMK in the fifth dimension to talk about Dragon Ball. And that will be live here on Twitch and on YouTube. Guys, it's finally time. It's finally time to step into the fifth dimension when it comes to anime. Now, here is the giganto announcement when it comes to the very important aspect that I've been working on for over a month. And I will make a huge description on my Twitter when it comes to tweet longer, right? And I'm just putting that together right now. I already had it written up and stuff, but this has been extremely important to me, and this is something that I've been working on that I feel, you know, is something that it not only is part of my duty, but it's part of my reform when it comes to what I do on the channel, do here on Twitch, and I do when it comes to my community, the growing communities, other communities, and of course aspiring streamers, content creators, and stuff. And this is it. I hope you guys are ready for it. Freebond, you already know what to do once the teaser is over. Let's get it. Okay, there you go. That's right, guys. I am putting together a gigantic, well, I hope to be gigantic, Twitch streaming team. It's really going to come to a point in my life and career as a content creator and a streamer that I really want to put something like this together. And I want to try and uplift and grow and build communities around other people that wants to be brought into the fifth dimension. And that is why I'm opening up a Twitch stream team, being known as the fifth dimension, that you can apply through using the link that you can find at the Twitch team, the fifth dimension. Not only will this help bring a highlight and spotlight to other content creators and streamers that want to try and test their footing and get bigger here on Twitch, using what I can do for them in order to bring them more to everyone else when they're watching communities, but also to my own community. This will able to, you know, help you discover more bigger, better, and aspiring content creators and streamers that you can find on Twitch, right? So I want to put together some sort of huge Twitch team, and there's no other name that I could find that would be better for the fifth dimension. So as Freebond was the only one when it comes to my mods that knew about this whole plan that I was putting together for over a month. He went ahead and spammed that on Twitch, and you can find the Twitch team there. And already we already have a certain amount of members. We have 5 members already. Myself, of course, Indikuba, Smelly Octopus, Virtuoso, and Game Boy Lad. And of course, this is not an exclusive team. You have to apply to it, and I want to grow this team bigger, better, and grow the community exponentially. I will have a lot more details on my Twitter and on the Fifth Dimension Twitter account that I've also created that you should definitely go follow as well. And what we're looking for, how to apply, and of course, updates on who gets in, and of course, highlighting all those aspiring streamers that do get into the Fifth Dimension. This is a huge thing that I've been working on, and I hope it really, you know, I hope it's something that you guys really are interested in and it will take off. And guys, for those who want a dream to start streaming, this is it. This is how I will try to help you. And that is the true essence aspect of the Fifth Dimension. So yeah, that's the announcement. I know that Will's just like sitting there, is like, okay, is he done now? Is he done? So Will, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you so much for being part of this big awesome episode that is the 5th episode of the Fifth Dimension, man.
Oh, no problem. I was like, I was kind of nervous because I barely do this, but I never do this. But honestly, it went really well, and I'm happy we had all these topics to discuss. I didn't expect us to delve into like freaking Mario Kart 8, but yeah, that was fun.
Oh, definitely, man. Yo, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope to have you back for a future guest, because I mean, like, if you want to talk Mario Kart, I can make a Mario Kart episode of the Fifth Dimension. We can do this.
Oh, my body is ready for that. Also, it's super random, but last time we worked together was literally like the whole game theory thing. We need to collab again, dude.
Yo, yeah, definitely. You know me. Yo, you have my information. Just hit me up whenever. You know I'm down for whatever. When it comes to Zonai, Malice, just let's get. I actually have an idea. I'll slide it by you tomorrow. How's that sound?
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Spicy.
Oh, super spicy. But yeah, guys, this is going to be the end of today's episode of the Fifth Dimension. The Fifth Dimension does not close. It only opens and expands even bigger. And I will see you on the next episode of the Fifth Dimension, which is next Friday with Endakuba and Dragon Ball. This episode will go live tomorrow on YouTube. And once again, big thanks to NintendoBlackCrisis. If you're watching this from YouTube, all of this information is going to be in the description box below. So guys, until the next episode, until the next dive into the Fifth Dimension, this has been HMK and NintendoBlackCrisis, and we will check you guys later.